As much as we may love to get started on a painting straight away, it's essential to learn some key disciplines first. And Peter Ward's here to talk us through some key exercises.
Yes, that's right.
Not of the physical variety.
No, for the brain it is.
For the brain.
Because it can be tiring.
Yeah.
Anybody starting off seriously in drawing and eventually painting, it is a serious hobby. If you've got to treat it seriously, that is. Generally, when I start teaching a new student or a new course, I start with a dip pen, the old-fashioned variety.
Oh, right.
Because I don't believe in biros or felt tip initially. That's too easy. Make it difficult, something sharp and pointy. And so I start off using these little squares, just as an example of cross-hatching, so that from one there down to here, you're left with almost a solid black shape, but allowing a bit of white of the paper to shine through. And it's part of the discipline of a watercolorist to allow the paper colour to shine through the actual transparency of the pigment that you leave on the actual surface. Now, after rigorous exercises, cross-hatching, which I drive some of my students up the wall with, because I lay so much stress on doing that, I give them a sheet of A4 paper with a line drawing, say, of that, like a flower. I ask them to then copy that on a separate piece of white paper, exactly and as accurately as they can. And when they've... That
doesn't sound very easy in itself.
Well, it's very difficult. However, if they repeat it 2 or 3 times, it's surprising how accurate they become. So, once they finish their own drawing, they'll make a tracing of that drawing. There's this example, one I prepared earlier, and it doesn't quite fit, as perhaps you can see. Then you put it back over there, and it won't fit.
And so it shows up where you've not seen...
The mistakes.
Right.
And providing, like anything, like any exercise, if you learn by mistakes, you won't do it again in the future. And I think that is a truism.
Wow.
Then after that, I would get my students to do a gradation, using a dip pen again, from dark to light.
And what exactly does that teach? Is it the weight that you're putting in? Is it the delicacy of the transition?
Well, it really is getting your fingers dirty with ink, Indian ink, really. Finding out how far you can go with the medium, what to do with the pen nib, press hard or light or a very fine line or a broad line. By using dots and cross-hatching, doing a little landscape, an object, you can do anything with pen and ink. It's a traditional medium to use. I mean, before colour, colour printing, all the artist really had was ink to do his drawings with, his cartoons before he started oil painting and things like the sepia generally. So he knew how to use a quill, for example, various ways, those pointy things that you use to transfer the ink onto the paper. And ink is a lovely medium, it's very rich in black.
Absolutely.
Later on, the student will get involved with sketching of figures and so forth. But this is really for the teacher's use. It's my little syllabus that I've drawn up to give some insight to my students on what they can expect in the course.
Cool.
A horse chestnut, for example, from Horsham Park, you know, just to illustrate the passage and stuff.
Do you think people don't draw enough?
People don't draw at all these days. In art schools, whilst drawing is taught, it's not taught as rigorously as it was taught in my day, some years ago, which is such a pity.
I love that tip about, you know, with the tracing paper, reproducing something.
Well, that is an important, amongst others, that I try and get my students to do. I don't try, they're very eager to prove to me that they can do it. And after the first attempt, they're quite disappointed. But with encouragement, they try it again. My lessons last for 3 hours, and they come once or twice a week. By the end of the first month, they've got the picture.
I've got it, yeah. Excellent. Thank you for that tip, that's great.
Not at all.